I'm Jake Bruton, and today on the Build Show Network, this is a follow-up to a few weeks ago. We did a video about our drywall checklist. Let's talk about blocking. Okay, so when we talked a few weeks ago about our drywall checklist, we talked about all the things that are on here and our documentation process. One of the things that we talked about was blocking. So let's look at blocking in this basement renovation. Let's talk about some of the things that we have going on. Let's talk about the why, the process behind it, and how we've come to this point in our building specifications. How about that? So let's start right here. This is a basement renovation. This project is getting a wet bar in the area that I'm standing. I think you can probably see that there is Uponor plumbing here, that there is AV wires here, there's some TV blocking, there's all sorts of stuff. So let's start with number one. Number one, we do enough 2-foot on center framing, even on interior partition walls, that over the past few years, what we've figured out with our cabinet guys is just new rule is absolutely everything gets a lower and an upper block for any kitchen style cabinets and any bathroom style cabinets. If it's 2-foot on center, it's pain in the rear for them to try to find a stud, so why not just add the blocking in? This particular wall, I should also note before I go any further, the existing wall was really crooked, and so both this way and this way, it was anchored down pretty well. Rather than fight it, all we did was just add a second layer of framing to this. These studs, there's about a 1/2 inch offset in this one, there's about 1/4 in this one, there's a 1/2 on the next one, there's 3/4 on the next one, the end is like 1/8 of an inch. All these are straight. We shot it with a laser. All these are plumb and straight this direction, making this a good cabinet wall. But it also makes our blocking look funky because the block stops before it actually hits the face of that stud. So back to our lower cabinetry. All of our lower cabinetry gets a block centered at 36 inches. We do all of this with 2x10, and the reason for that is finished floor. We don't know the exact dimension most of the time. You know, if it's tile, do we put the tile underneath the cabinets? Do we not put the tile? There's always this debate on process and what we want to do. So what we do is we just do a 2x10 that's centered at 36 off of the rough floor, be it subfloor, be it concrete, whatever it is. And then we have enough wiggle room that we'll still catch something there one way or the other. Chances are our screws end up almost at our 36 line. And that 36 line, we use a center line on all the blocking because in our photographs that we're going to take before we cover any of this up, our photographs, we mark center of the block. We can tell what size the block is based off the picture. We don't even write 2x10, 2x8, whatever it is. We know that all of our cabinet blocking is a 36 off the floor, and then whatever our uppers are, but it's a 2x10 centered on that mark. Yeah, it might be a little wasteful, but we're talking 2 20-foot 2x10s in the house, maybe 3 or 4 max. It's not that much money. It's worth it. The cabinet guys can put a screw wherever the heck they want. If nothing else, that offset of us putting it in is probably offset directly by them just being able to run screws in. In this particular case, we have a TV and we have floating shelves. The floating shelves and the TV are not exactly finalized. You can see this little square here is like the dimensions of the TV. I think that they've now finalized the TV, but that happened after we finished blocking, but we didn't know if it was going to happen before drywall was over. The bottom of this TV is supposed to be the bottom of our floating shelf. So we have floating shelves on either side. We have a floating shelf here, and then we have a floating shelf a specific distance up to be able to catch that upper and line up the TVs and everything. We just decided, let's just block this whole section. We had a 2x10 sitting around at the shop and a little bit of 2x6. We just pieced in here. We are missing one more block here, but that's because they decided on a smaller TV, this electrical is going to move down. And actually, after I get done filming, I'm going to take this block loose and move another piece down there because this AV stuff has to happen behind the TV. This will give us the ability to kind of move the floaters up and down wherever we want, shift the TV. If we hold the TV up here and the client goes, yeah, that's too high, we can go down a little bit. I think we have enough covered. So This is a basic one. Like, yeah, there's a lot going on here and there's some decisions to still be made, but we're plugging through. And these lower cabinets are in. Now, let's talk about the bathroom and let's talk about a couple of the closets here. The closets, the blocking in those, generally speaking, it's a 2x6 at the shelf and rod height or at the shelf height. That shelf and rod height or that shelf height, all of that is called out in our scope of work. So when the framers get here, if it's our guys, if it's a subcontractor, they can look at that sheet, and that sheet, when it says in the framing section, it says blocking behind all cabinets and gives a dimension, but it gives a dimension for each one of the closets. So in this instance, we have a closet off of a bedroom that just has like a 66 all the way around because it's just gonna be shelf and rod all the way around. They can put stuff underneath of it. Our linen closets and a lot of our pantries are 24 plus 16 plus 16 plus 16. So they know 24 from the floor plus 16 inches plus 16 inches plus 16 inches, or sometimes it's 24 plus 16 plus 16 plus 12 plus 12. And that's depending on what we have there, what the clients want. You know, you can't really get a unopened thing of toilet paper on a plus 12, but generally you can on a 16. And you can't get a cereal box on a plus 12, but you can get it on a plus 16. So then they know that they're wrapping the whole room. And in this instance, there's one vertical plumbing run that's a 3-inch pipe. There wasn't room to get blocking in front of it. So we'll photograph that, and that section will just get left out. It'll be omitted. We'll make sure that nobody puts, you know, 2x or 1x on the wall to support shelves or anything in that area. It also gives us the ability, if we wanted to go floaters in that or in a pantry, which we've done quite a few times. When I say floater, I just mean a shelf that has no brackets, so it's sliding onto those pre-made things that go into the wall. If we want to do floaters and whatnot in there, we're still catching at an appropriate point where we can have that stick off the wall and then slide a floater on. The other thing to know is in the bathroom here, we have a vanity cabinet, and so therefore that bathroom got blocking. And it's plain and simple. It's centered at 36. It's a 2x10 the way we normally do it. Now, so that's 4 spaces. That's 2 different closets, a bathroom, and this wet bar. Now, I want to turn the cameras around to that wall, and I want to talk to you about why we did some very specific blocking over there, and how it's gonna work. So let's do it now. So you are definitely familiar with seeing this product on a lot of our job sites. I believe that we've been using Advantech since like the late 90s. It's something that's been around for a long time with us. Our use of Advantech may be to the point where we can say that our use gets to vote. It's of that age. But this is not a subfloor. I'm not laying down, I'm standing up. You can tell that I'm not there. This wall has a lot going on. There is a large TV, there are speakers, there's a cabinet that goes down below, and then after they decide on the exact final size of the TV, we have trim and millwork that goes on this wall that's a pattern to fit around the TV. And that trim and millwork is being provided by the cabinet maker because it matches the cabinets. It's going to get the same catalyzed varnish on it. That's color. So we have a lot of ins and outs for one little section of the room, and the back side of this is completely unfinished storage. So we blocked the entire wall. We're able to drywall over top of this, figure out exactly where the TV's going, which we don't have it yet, but we want to keep moving forward. So we'll have a TV mount that mounts to this. We'll have speakers that punch through this. We talked to the AV installers, and they're perfectly fine with, we'll drill a hole through here, pull the speaker wire in, and then they'll make the connections on the backside where nobody will be able to see them anyway. Same with the TV, all the cords and everything will tuck through, and the electrical outlets will be on the backside. And then the other thing that's going to give us a really cool, because we're open on the backside, that pattern, whatever that pattern is that we decide and finalize for our trim, all of that's pre-finished before it comes here. So we don't want to put nail holes through it to hold it onto the wall. We're going to figure out where it goes, trace it on the wall, pre-drill some holes through, and then from the backside, we'll mount with screws from the backside. All of it will be clicked in place with dominoes, and then everything gets held tight onto the wall from the back. There's no nail heads, no putty, no respray, nothing that has to happen on site. It'll all happen from the backside. It's a really simple, like, Yeah, it took an hour, and it's, what is this, 7 sheets of Advantech. So yeah, there's a couple $100 in materials here and a couple $100 in labor here. But for the savings and the flexibility it affords us moving forward, it takes the blocking that we've done over here in the wet bar and makes it just substantially more usable. This is an easier setup. This is something that, yeah, I don't see us doing this very often. But when we talked about this and we were like, man, there's a lot going on that wall. Things are getting moved around. Things still haven't been finalized. Heck with it. Let's just make it a strong wall that we can mount wherever the heck we want. I've mounted TVs to Advantech before, so I have no problem with this being something that will hold enough to keep the thing from falling off the wall or anything. And if we're concerned, it's open on the backside. We can add another layer of blocking if we have to. So think outside the box. Think about different solutions. This is less work than if we had to block for all the speakers and the TV and the cabinet that's going down here. And then you add in the trim and millwork, and that's substantially easier. So I really think that in some instances, this is the way to go, that now we're framing interior walls with Advantech as our drywall blocking, so that we put, or not our drywall blocking, our AV and cabinet blocking, so we can put stuff wherever we want. This is going to get included in our drywall checklist. Is there a wall that needs extra added blocking, more than what we normally would put in our scope of work? This wasn't in the scope of work. We figured this out. But it's one of those things that as soon as I put it up, or as soon as we put it up and I started thinking about it, I was like, man, this is a simple solution. So think outside the box. Think about all that blocking. Think about making some things standard, like we put blocking behind all of our cabinets so that it's just easier for the cabinet guys. Even if you're doing in-house cabinet guys, your trim carpenters would rather have the blocking than hunt for studs, I'm sure. So also, I must say, I had a few people message me about the drywall checklist. I've gotten way behind. Send me another message through Instagram is fine. I'll do my best to get you guys the drywall checklist on one agreement. If I email it to you and you see it's missing something, or you think it needs something added, you got to alter it and send it back to me so that I can see what your alterations are too. You got to share it back. If I'm going to share it with you, you got to send it back to me if you make a change, because I want us to be better as well. Don't forget to sign up for the newsletter. There is so much content coming out. You're going to miss it if you don't get that newsletter email twice a week. I love the fact that they let me be involved with this. I learn from those guys every week. I'm checking out stuff even from like Steve Basic that I work with on a regular basis. Steve and I have multiple things going on right now. I still learn from his videos because he says it different than when we're in a conversation, because he's in teaching mode when he's talking to you guys and I catch something. Or all the stuff that Wade's doing with site organization just because that house is on an island. Like, there's so much to be learned. There's so many people putting out great content. Sign up for that newsletter so you don't miss it. Don't forget to check out the Unbuild It podcast. You can follow what's happening with them. Steve, Peter, Yost, and I on our IG page. And don't forget to follow me personally on IG. Thanks for watching.